How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Wednesday. It's hump day, middle of the week, and we're going to talk about a lot of SHTF topics. I want to know what you want to talk about as well. Get your comments down below, and we'll get you in the second half of the show after we do my daily monologue. Had trouble getting a good, strong enough signal out this morning for 0 Dark 30, but we'll be back tomorrow and try it again. But for today, lots of stuff going on. So I want to start with the big one, because there was a big earthquake out there in the east coast of Russia. A lot of people don't realize Russia extends all the way to the Pacific Ocean up there by Alaska. So huge earthquake and a huge tsunami warning for Japan, Hawaii, and Alaska, and of course, Canada and North America. And Uman says he saw some pictures and videos, but some people claim that was from the Fukushima event. Interesting, though, in Hawaii, where they were calling tsunami warning, had a problem with Oprah Winfrey. But before we get to Oprah, I want to preempt that discussion with all the elite a-holes around the planet can all burn in hell. Right, especially when they're friends with and known friends with rapists, sex offenders, sex traffickers, and of course government criminals too. Because the billionaire elitist Oprah Winfrey, who is friends with those type of people like Harvey Weinstein, P. Diddy, yeah, those are two nasty ones right there, right? Anyways, yeah, the billionaire Oprah Winfrey reportedly refused to open her private road in Hawaii to allow ordinary people evacuation from tsunami risk areas. It's interesting. Now, the last time I saw the tsunami, I saw the Lahaina Maui marina cam. I guess that's the best we can put it. The tsunami wasn't a tidal wave. It sucked the water out of the marina. Literally sucked the water out so it was dry. And then the water came back in. That was it. So anyways, people were scared though. People were worried, especially after the Maui, Hawaii fires in Lahaina. People worried about their lives and will the government try and kill them again? But I do keep this one thought in the back of my head, way back here, that I know Pacific Islanders and Hawaiians pretty well. Even though I don't look like one of them, I'm an Islander, folks. In any event, I hope the real Hawaiians at some point, someday, show Oprah where the tiger sharks swim. I've had it with these elites and their attitude. People are at risk of dying. There's fear everywhere, and Oprah won't let them get up there. I guess a lot of people are trying to get up to Kula, which is a town about 4,000 foot elevation on the side of Mount Haleakala, which is a volcano there on Maui. In any event, folks, I'm glad that it didn't take out Hawaii or any other place, tragically. But the big tragedy, again, is the people who think they're special. Kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's concerned about the earth. He's a climate alarmist, and he's an activist. But he's going to build a 4-star resort over in Israel to allow super rich people to go on vacation there. Can't imagine why they would want to. with all of the, let's see, tanks, helicopters, jets, missiles, bombs, rockets, guns going off all the time. But he's also going to have it set up so people with yachts, super yachts, can come hang out and stay there. Wild business, folks. So speaking of the Middle East and wild business that's going on, I wanted to talk a little bit about this report coming out of Russia. Apparently, the Russians, which of course we know is Vladimir Putin, is warning. They're warning Iran that they need to prepare, not for SHTF, but for U.S.-Israeli attacks. So I'm like, what now? Or is Putin getting out in front of and preempting any U.S.-Israeli propaganda that would be used for whatever purpose? Because it's been rather quiet. It's been rather quiet. Where it's not quiet is the whole world. And by the whole world, I don't mean every single one of us, but nations from around the world are regarding Israel as dangerous, a threat, as adversarial, because of their attitude and the way they've been treating other countries. And I hate to see Trump tie our United States of America wagon to the Israelis. It's just not great. The number of people that are coming out and blowing the whistle on the cold-blooded murder of children, especially, is disheartening and disturbing. In fact, I guess many people in the military who have witnessed firsthand what's going on over there are starting to give testimony, and I find that credible. I know politically there's a lot of left-winging dipshits inside the military, right? Both in the officer corps and the enlisted ranks. But I've heard enough now that there's got to be something to it, especially when a U.S. nuclear submarine commander resigns his position. That's what's being reported. And speaks out against the atrocities that are occurring over there. Very disheartening. So, Israel is being criticized heavily, and even, what would be a good word for this? Recategorized by other nations as not friendly, or as unfriendly, or big risk. All right, now speaking of big risk, folks, this was a big, big deal to me when I read this. A top Food and Drug Administration bureaucrat has resigned. Well, why, right? Food and Drug Administration, isn't that RFK Jr. is the new Make America Healthy Great Again, right? Well, the reason is because this jackass, who is a disgrace, is politically aligned with, Elizabeth Lying Hontus Warren and Comrade Commie Bernie. At least that's what he claimed. So you know he hates America. You know it. This jackass's name was Prasad, and he looks like a snitch off of Miami Vice. Anyways, this bureaucratic a-hole, Prasad, he sought power in the government, in the bureaucracy, and he got it, and he was building it. Now, he assumed control of CBER, right, at the Food and Drug Administration. And he basically amassed unprecedented levels of power and authority. He held 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 very important, very powerful Food and Drug Administration roles. Chief Medical Officer, Chief Scientific Officer, and Director of CBER, which is the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. Oh, wait, that's CDER. Anyways, he was the director of CBER and was going to become, he was under consideration. It would be number 4 if he became the lead bureaucrat in the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, which would be CDER. Lots of letters in there, typical government crap. But just imagine the danger that someone who hates Trump, loves Elizabeth Warren, loves Comrade Connie Bernie Sanders, right? Just imagine the danger and the poisons and toxins this piece of shit could have forced on America or lied about so Americans would take as drugs, etc. Government is a dangerous servant and a fearful master, just like fire. And that is referencing a statement by George Washington. What would you guys give, by the way? What would you give to have not Trump, not even Reagan, but to have George Washington teleported from 1785 all the way till now, or 1790 after the Constitution was ratified, and show him the world of today? What do you think he would say? Yeah, he'd lose his mind. He would lose his mind, right? He'd say, well, it seems like you people kind of like this stuff. Well, speaking of people who like bad things, which we don't love what they're doing to our country. In fact, they're trying to give us CBDC, central bank digital currency. They're giving us AI, artificial intelligence, to lie to us, trick us, advertise, fool us, etc. And then they got Palantir, which is spying on us. And the government is going full on 1984 electronic surveillance of the United States of America. Why? We don't need that. So why? It's always about control. Now, in Cincinnati, folks, where over the weekend they had several people beaten nearly to death, knocked out, left for dead, laying on the ground, unconscious. They arrested several of the people. One of them in particular, who is probably the most aggressive and violent, was let out on $400 bail for violently assaulting someone. And everyone knows that the the chief of police of Cincinnati, this piece of shit liberal bitch, guess what? She blamed everyone but the criminals. She's now even blaming the bartender and saying he must have been overserved. Yeah, so when you drink alcohol, you become a violent, racist thug and attack people. Yeah. Anyways, in addition to the the chief of police being an absolute moron, a Cincinnati city council member has come out and publicly celebrated the beatdown mob assault of white people. Right. While woke is dying, folks, diversity, equity, and inclusion and racist politicians, they're going to be around for years and years and maybe decades. Because once a name gets into politics, then they lie and lie and lie and keep in there. So woke is dying. And if you want some evidence of that, take a look at the Sydney Sweeney advertisements for American Eagle clothing, right? I think woke is being destroyed, but the politicians in place and the politicians that made woke happen, they're still there. But this city council member, I'm going to give you a quote having to do with the mob of ghetto slimes beating up people, old people. Here's the quote. They begged for that beatdown. I am grateful. It's not just a whoops or a mistake. It's outright blatant racism. And the fact that we're seeing so much of this racism, this black against white racism and black against Asian racism. We're seeing the consequences of woke DEI, ESG, the fake history that they tried pushing in schools, if you remember that, critical race theory, the damage that's done is an SHTF, shall we say, increaser, right? Because we have an entire generation of school children who had at least 5 and up to 10 years of critical race theory telling them that whites are evil, that Europeans are evil, that law and order is anti-black and it benefits whites, and it's just complete horseshit. But those people are out there and they believe it still. And until they get shot, arrested, they're not going to stop, because they're being treated like, well, petulant children rather than what they are. It should have been attempted murder. At the very least, it was mayhem. In all cases, it should have been felony arrests. Oh, I tell you, folks, America is in some kind of trouble. Some kind of trouble. On top of everything else, right? This isn't race associated, I don't think, anyways, but in Virginia, a Republican lawmaker was, doused, had a bunch of gasoline thrown on him, and then set on fire. And he was in his office. In his office. How do you like that? You're a politician trying to do your job. Small time thing. Someone walks in the office in Danville, Virginia, and you get gasoline poured on you. Yeah. So this guy named Lee Vogler, that's what happened. How would you like that? The attacker has one hell of a hippie left-wing fruitcake name, by the way. Shotzi Michael Buck Hayes. I don't know if that's some kind of a joke or a porn name or what. Shotzi Michael Buck Hayes. 4 names. But the guy was 29 years old, so he's perfect for having gone to high school and maybe a little bit of college to get his head right. 5 gallons, folks, not a cup of gas. 5 gallons of gasoline. What I want to know is why City Councilman Vogler didn't run like hell. Why he let someone with a gas can walk into his fucking office, and I don't know. Now, the police are saying that they have captured the guy, right? The killer. But they're saying it's personal and it's not related to politics. Hard to believe that. Hard to believe that. Well, old Shotzi, his wife filed for divorce 2 weeks ago. Sounds like he could have some personal medical and psychological problems going on, right? Anyways. What the fuck is going wrong with people? Set them on I don't know. Am I right or wrong? Did the guy die or not? No, he's not dead. Well, nothing like living with 3rd-degree burns all over your fucking body. He was awake and talking when he was taken to the burn center in Lynchburg. Why don't they change the name of Lynchburg? I mean, that's got the word lynch in it. It's like hanging city. Isn't that a racist city, Lynchburg? Any event, this guy was elected at age 24 as a councilman, yada, yada, yada. So it makes him the youngest lawmaker to ever have 5 gallons of gas thrown on him and lit on fire. I'm not applauding it. I'm condemning it. I don't like this, but this is what I think is going to happen. We had the shooter in New York City managed to kill the one person in Blackstone BlackRock, which is the investment firm and the firm that controls it, that is responsible for buying up real estate and raising rents, I think, an average of 28%. Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about right. Well, let's do this. Let's get in. I got a little bit of Epstein news for you. Epstein distraction number 87. President Trump went on Truth Social, his own version of X. President Trump went on Truth Social and posted two memes that target Barack Obama as a traitor and calling him out of that, as well as others responsible for the Russia collusion hoax. I'm not distracted. I want the Epstein files released. With respect to Obama and Susan Rice and Brennan and Clapper and Christopher Wray and James Comey and Ruby Rod Rosenstein and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Eric Holder and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the Clintons and the Obamas. No one's going to jail. No one. So I think we've all been we've settled on that, I think, have we not? No one's going to jail. Nothing will happen because Trump said he's a traitor and he needs to be prosecuted. These people need to be thrown in. Nothing's going to happen. It never does happen. I would think differently, except I go in my head all the way back to 1980s, the early 80s, when we had the Iran-Contra affair, where Ollie North was called into Congress and put under oath, with immunity, by the way, to discuss selling arms to Iran to raise money to fund the anti-communists in Nicaragua. Nothing happened. I don't think any investigation out of Congress has ever done a single fucking thing. Oh, except I think, who was that? Steve Bannon went to jail because Congress didn't like his answers and said he was lying. Yep. I think the only thing that'll put Obama either behind bars or 6 feet under is an assassination that will rid us of his dumb gay ass. I'm not calling for it. I'm not asking for people to be violent or stupid. I just, Obama and the whole crowd, they're not going to be held accountable. I do enjoy, however, being able to criticize them because they have earned mountains of criticism and they know it. They know it. Anyways, that was Epstein distraction number 87. Did not work. Well, how about Epstein distraction number 53? Trump is calling for an investigation. I think I'm seeing a pattern here, Mr. Uman, with investigate, and nothing happens. But Trump's now calling for an investigation. It's like saying, oh, when your daddy gets home, there's going to be trouble. Well, daddy ain't coming home. Never does. But Trump's calling for an investigation into Nancy Pelosi's stock trading success. Basically, she's an insider. Here's what the quote is. Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She ought to be investigated. End quote. Well, no shit. They should all be stopped. In fact, someone put into Congress to make it illegal for congressmen and the vice president and the president of the United States, make it illegal for them to trade stocks. Growing up, they used to have this rule that when you were elected to office, all of your investments, Wall Street stuff, had to go into a blind trust. What that means is management of those stocks had to go somewhere that you as the owner of them couldn't see. That way you couldn't be tempted even. Couldn't even be tempted to do insider trading, right? Well, apparently they've done away with all that, and these fuckers, they use it. That's almost a, what do you want to call it? It's a job benefit, right? There's going to be no investigation here just like there'll be no real investigation of Obama. But if there was, even if they have an investigation, there won't be any criminal referrals. But wait, we have criminal referrals. Do we not? Yeah. I believe we have a criminal referral for the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. I haven't heard anything about him being arrested. I haven't heard anything about him being arraigned and charged with crimes. So even if Nancy Pelosi was investigated, she would never, ever, ever be prosecuted. Now, there is kind of a leak today, an alleged leak out of Dan Bongino's office, the Epstein list. I don't believe it because I don't believe it. But this alleged list has half of Washington, D.C. in Congress on it. And that's pretty wild stuff. Epstein was prolific. Yes, he was. He was. He managed to, if he couldn't pose with Trump, he was kind of like Where's Waldo, standing in the background, always looking at the camera, always aware, and trying to make it look like he wanted to be part of that thing. But let's finish up with this. Epstein distraction part 65. Kash Patel. Oh, yeah. Remember the guy that was going to come into the FBI and turn FBI headquarters into a museum? That's right. He was going to turn it into a museum. Not a chance, right? He was going to fire everybody and replace them. Nope. Instead, he's promoted people that arrested Americans for protesting a stolen election. Fuck you, Kash Patel. But now he's claiming that he found thousands of Russia hoax documents in burn bags in a secret room. I didn't know that the FBI had burn bags. Did you? Anybody? What the fuck is a burn bag? Now, I've worked with secure information, and we shredded the shit out of that stuff. Shredded the shit out of it. But burn bags. Now, on top of the Russia hoax documents, there was also information from the John Durham report. Remember, Inspector General. Not the Surgeon General, not the Attorney General, the Inspector General. That everyone gets a big fucking title. Right? This guy, he's hardcore, John Durham. He's hardcore Inspector General. Didn't do shit. Well, apparently, that information was in the same secret closet. I didn't know the FBI has secret rooms. I thought all of them came out of the closet now, and they're openly homosexual. In any event, Kash Patel, I didn't know he goes rooting around in different offices in the FBI, looking at everyone's files and discovering, oh my God, look what I just found. Do you believe that for a fucking second? Kash Patel found it. What is this, a fucking treasure hunt? Kash Patel, really? He's doing that? He's like, you go ahead and have a coffee break. I'm going to clean this closet out for you. Holy cow, look what I just found. Right? Maybe Kash Patel found the Epstein list that fell off of Pam Bondi's desk and no one's seen since. Oh, that sounds about right, does it not? We're going to continue to get lied to, jerked around. Oh, that's where it was. It was right next to Al Capone's vault in the basement, says Uman. Yep, that's the same room. Al Capone's basement. Once again, I was a young man, and Geraldo Rivera. What a fucking jackass he is. It's my first exposure to him. He was supposed to be this great journalist, this sensational guy. And they excavated a bunch of dirt out of a filled-in basement that was supposed to be Al Capone's vault. had us all sitting on the edge of our seats with, the cheapest beer men could find at, age early 20s. Nothing. Unbelievable. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's do the you guys. Let's go to you guys as the inner circle. And we're back. I hope you've got your questions in. And it looks like do stuff with Nikki, which means taking a crap, has a big ass 5-part question. Apparently, someone riled her up today. It may have been me. I doubt it. Anyways, do stuff with Nikki says, oh, well, since that subject of Iran-Contra is up, hey, someone's listening to the show as we go, in progress. Epstein was straight in the middle of shit like that. This isn't about covering up minor girls. The powers that be could care less about that. This is about money laundering on the highest level. This will bring countries down. And while everyone is in uproar about a bunch of underage girls that should get justice, they are missing the whole much larger point that making a big issue about the young girls' sex traffic is the distraction. I said way before, this is way bigger than any of us can imagine, and Israel is 100% in that cesspool too. Now, here's the deal. That's very interesting. How do I address this? The international money laundering scheme that has been orchestrated out of the European Union, Washington, D.C., the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve Bank, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, the People's Bank of China, the PBOC. Every bank around the world is laundering money. Yes. Paying off politicians. Yes. Bribing politicians. Yes. And extorting politicians, yes, by using underage sex extortion material. And Israel is neck deep in this shit too. I could care less for Israel than I do about children being harmed by these sick bastards. If they are exposed, yeah. What do you think America would be more angry about? Do you think America, and I think it's a legitimate question. Do you think the people of America will be more angry with billionaires who have stolen billions of dollars, or do you think they'll be more angry with billionaires who are raping children? Which one evokes more anger? I think it's the children, because money is just money. And then with government, it's like, well, they're just printing money anyways. Who cares what they're fucking stealing? I can't do anything. But children, I think we all have empathy with and can empathize with having a family member kidnapped and then discover that they've been held hostage and raped and even killed. And this whole thing about adrenochrome, folks, which is the harvesting of the elixir of life from children. That is still an ongoing thing. Many are calling it a hoax, but it's still ongoing. It's still showing up. Celebrities wearing shirts with the word on it. You know, companies claiming, or people with information claiming companies are producing. There's way too much here. And you're saying, Nikki, and I get it, it's way bigger than any of us can imagine. Oh, I'm sure it's far bigger, wider, deeper, and dirtier than any of us can imagine. I think that the names should come out. I don't care if countries fall. I don't care if Canada falls, or Israel, or Britain, or France, or Italy. I don't care. Let them fall, right? The fall of Rome was about lack of morality, corruption, and the destruction of their currency. Okay, theft at that level, and it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better until these people are taken out. And typically, what these parasites do is they ride the system all the way into the ground and total destruction, because that's how they are. If they can't have it, nobody can. So they'll literally destroy a currency, kind of like the currency of Zimbabwe, back when it was Rhodesia, or was it during Zimbabwe? In any event, they had their version of a dollar, a fiat paper currency, that became so worthless, they printed it into the trillions. In other words, you as a regular human being could have $1 trillion bill. Right? Never mind having 1 million, right? Having $1 million bill, but not billions, but the next one up, trillions. They will destroy a country and its currency and its means of doing business in order to enrich themselves. So all of the, how do I put this? People get pissed off at stereotypes. You know, the people that seem to run the world and have been associated with running the world and banking and politicians and their lying and their greed and corruption, they are their own stereotype. Someone, it's amazing, the other day, someone wrote something about banks and corruption and theft and destruction of wealth, and someone commented calling him anti-Semitic. And the response to that was, no one said anything about the Jews, right? But that's the stereotype. And a lot of stereotypes are not manufactured, they're earned. Like, let's just say for retards, for example, a stereotype is that they lick the windows on buses that they ride on. Window lickers, right? That's a stereotype, but I don't think I ever saw that. And I saw many kids wearing helmets growing up. Oh, my goodness. Anyways, Nikki, thank you very much for the topic. And it is way bigger than any of us can imagine. You know, and every time someone laughs at a conspiracy theory and it comes true, or it becomes proven to be true or proven to be accurate, I'm running out of conspiracy theories. I'm starting to believe David Icke is correct. I'm starting to believe that the people in charge are not human, that they are indeed fucking reptoids or reptilians or whatever. It's certainly becoming more believable because all the other conspiracy theories have been correct or accurate. Why not that one? Anyways, good golly. I'm serious though, why not? Right? If the proof is there, well, whatever, right? We've seen enough videos where people seem to get lizard eyes and flick their tongues out and have their teeth get all pointy and sharp and then go back to looking like a normal human. I imagine now somebody can get video of me and run it through an AI thing and have me turn into a lizard. Ooh, man, be careful. Be on the lookout, buddy. All right. Redneck Roughneck steps in and says, funny how the demon rats use that old law for Epstein info, and all of a sudden there's new Russiagate info. So I believe what he's referring to is the 5-senator rule, that at any point 5 senators, am I correct on this, man? Okay, yes. 5 senators make a demand of the president that he has to do it, right? So using this 5-senator rule to have the FBI release the Epstein list. Yes, man.
I believe it has to be 5 senators on whatever that committee they're on is. It's not just 5 random senators. There's whatever committee is reviewing this or demanding this, there has to be 5 senators from that committee demanding it.
So I think it's the Judicial Committee then. That's the one.
Yeah. I think it's called the Rule of 5.
Rule of 5. And Charles Schumer, you know, Upchuck, who, by the way, Upchuck was like on a client list. Did everyone know that? Does everyone remember the client list? that Upchuck Schumer was on. Do you, man? He remembers. Okay, I was trying to catch him, but the man knows a lot of stuff. Back in the 90s, a madam, meaning a pimpette, and I think she was in Hollywood, Heidi Fleiss, had gotten in trouble, and her black book came out. That's right, client lists. And Chuck Schumer was on there. I don't even want to know what he asked Heidi Fleiss to procure for him. Anyways, so they're trying to use this rule of 5 out of the Senate Judiciary Committee to force the president. And in fact, I read into it a little bit. It doesn't force the president. It's just a formality and a very forceful way to ask for something that doesn't have to be given. Now, you think that the president would be more inclined to do things for the demon rats if they weren't such demons and a-holes all the time, lying about Trump. And folks, they've been lying about Trump for a long time, trying to bring him down, double impeachment, lies, Russiagate, and they expect to send a request to his desk and he's going to fucking listen to them? Well, it's a big club, I guess, and they play weird-ass games. But yeah, as soon as something about the Epstein thing comes up, as soon as that happens, right, they release more Russiagate, or we found more information, or this person's going to, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. I heard that Jizzy Maxwell and P. Diddy are going to be pardoned by Trump. I don't believe either of those things, but it seems like it would sure fit the fucking game we're playing, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think that's probably people on social media trying for views, clickbait, right? Trying to get people to react and get them mad. But the Epstein thing is being fueled, I think, best and most effectively by none other than President Trump himself. He is becoming his own worst enemy. And I think other people have said this before, that it's his mouth. He runs his fucking soup cooler too much. And he just needs to shut up. And in particular, it was noted that today, Trump came out and complained about Jeffrey Epstein and talked about the time he cut him off, right? So he tells a story about Epstein stealing his girls out of his salon at Mar-a-Lago. Now, when you steal someone's employees from one company to another, you're not really stealing them in the sense that you're putting a rope around them and a potato sack over their head and kidnapping them, even though the Democrats are trying to portray that as Trump is claiming he owned these girls and Epstein stole them from it. No. But the Democrats are going to continue to play their Epstein games while we play our where's the justice Epstein games. They're out to get Trump. I'm out to get everybody who's on the real list. In any event, back to this thing about Trump being his own worst enemy. He keeps bringing it up. The Epstein case and women, young women. He's doing it to himself, right? Apparently this 14 or 15-year-old was stolen out of his salon in Mar-a-Lago by Epstein. What the fuck are you doing putting teenage girls in a salon? Literally, why is Trump hiring teenage girls? And he also said that Virginia Roberts or Guiffer, whatever name we want to go by, that she was one of them. So now it sounds like Trump knows who she was. None of this looks great, but maybe I could just ask this one question. What if Trump came out and he released the list and everyone is on it and Trump is on it and 90% of Congress is on it and half the nation's governors are on it and 3/4 of the New York bankers are on it. What are we going to do? What can we do? Not a fucking thing. Nothing. We can't do a damn thing about it. We can't even get Pam Bondi to arrest people we know have committed crimes. Right? Barack Obama has committed a crime called treason. Same with James Comey, treason. And John Brennan, treason. And Susan Rice, treason. And we can't get an arrest with that. It's unbelievable, folks. I hope you're ready, because at some point, something has to give. Something has to correct the problems. And I don't know what it's going to be or who or where, but I know that when it happens, we're all going to know. All right, Mr. Uman, let's do who's next. We've got Badass Diving Frog, and he says, I've heard that several of the biggest leftist mouthpieces are turning on Israel because Netanyahu wants to starve out the Palestinians. Oh yeah, a lot are. You know, this is really turning into an Israel versus the world scenario. I'm going to see if I don't get his name wrong. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. Did I say his name right? Or close to it? That fat ass he's had it with Israel. And I think he's a complete fucking moron. But we've had military personnel, special forces, officers, all say the same thing, that Israel is committing atrocities. You know, the special forces military, American military, said he gave some food to a Palestinian boy who was so grateful that he kissed his hand. And there's pictures of this. And that the boy walked off and the IDF soldiers shot him and killed the kid. You know, it's crazy. And then the starving part. You know, we're continuing to see and hear this. Now, I, for one, don't believe any terrorist should be left alive because of what terrorists do. But to me, that includes government terrorists as well. I am a nonpartisan. I am a very inclusive, diversity, equity, inclusion, inclusive. I'm very inclusive when it comes to my terrorists that I think need to be killed. I think that should include politicians because they are very terrorist-like. They threaten us with violence. That's what they threaten us with because that gives them power. Isn't that what a terrorist does? They use a threat or real violence, either the threat of violence or real violence, to create a political change. That's exactly what politicians do. They create violence or allow violence to get the political change they want. Kind of like the police chief in Cincinnati and Eric Adams in New York and Governor Hochul in New York and BJ Pritzker and BJ, the Chicago mayor. And then we've got Karen Bass, mayor of LA, Gavin Joker Dumbass Newsom of California, governor. All these people allow bad things to happen, create and cause bad things to happen, and scare people with it, and then demand more power and money. That is terrorism. And in Israel, Netanyahu leads their terrorist efforts. I don't have any problem saying all these politicians, folks, they look like terrorists, they smell like terrorists, they act like terrorists, they commit actions just like the terrorists do. They're just wearing nicer suits. And rather than twisting the wires together on a bomb, they have others do it for them. Okay, Mr. Uman, let us continue if we shall. We got a great crowd on this, Hump Day Wednesday on the Prepared Mind channel. Be sure to subscribe to the preparedmind.club or subscribestar.com if you want to be here with us live, just like all these people here. Okay, we got Uman says John Thune. Oh, yeah, this is good news here. He's the leader of the Senate. He's the Republican leader of the Senate who is stonewalled and blocked Trump from getting any of his judicial appointments. So John Thune has been accused of smurfing. You know what smurfing is? That's smucking till you're blue in the face. Anyways, he's been accused of smurfing a little over $1 million. He and his campaign committee stole the identities, get this, of 714 senior citizens to launder money into his campaigns. Right? That's the same thing that the Democrats did with Act Blue. Right? That was make contributions from a single source into a political campaign or a political action committee, but claim it came from all kinds of different people. This is stealing the identity for the purpose of money laundering, and this motherfucker has not been arrested. He should resign in disgrace, folks. See, that's what people did when they at least had dignity and a modicum of self-respect and some social grace. These motherfuckers spit in our face, shit on us, piss down our backs, and then they pretend like everything's cool. It was only 1,148,000. It's money laundering. It's lying, it's fraud, and identity theft. Am I going to wake up tomorrow, Uman, and John Thune is going to be out of a job? No, he's the Senate leader. Not only will he not get arrested, he will not apologize. I'll be shocked if we get a real apology. He'll not apologize. He's not going to do a damn thing. He's just going to hide. They'll just hide for a few days. 72-hour news cycle will pass. And we'll get some other distraction. Distraction number 126. Nixon resigned. President Nixon resigned because 4 bumbling CIA idiots got caught breaking into a Democrat office. That's it. A Democrat office. Remember when we used to laugh? Ooh, man, you might be, since you're about my age. We used to laugh and make jokes that Richard Nixon had an enemies list. They used to, what an evil guy. Why should any politician have an actual enemies list? And he'd laugh about it. I'm going to make an enemies list and put you on it, right? We'd make jokes about Nixon's enemies list. It's like, don't you know who your enemies are? Do you really need a fucking list to put them on to keep track of them? Apparently you do. When you've got over 500 congressmen and senators and a bunch of judges and thousands of bureaucrats and mainstream media, they all hate you. I guess it behooves you to have a fucking list of enemies to cover them all. It would be actually a time saver, if you will allow me. It would be a time saver and an ink saver if you write down allies you can trust on a list and keep everyone else as enemies until proven otherwise. I think that bit of philosophy is something that I've lived, which is I'll be nice to people, but I'm going to not trust them. I'm going to be very suspicious of them. I'm not going to give them the opportunity to hurt me or fool me, right? People need to stop doing that. Just trusting people. I don't want you guys to trust me. Check and verify everything I say. Run it through your own noggin and see if it works. But these people that they demand loyalty and obedience. Obedience is for dogs. Loyalty is earned, just like respect. And here we are. All right, yeah, John Thune what a fucking scumbag. What a just absolute jackass. Maybe we'll investigate him. All right, man, where are we going next? He says they just disclosed that there was a major cyber attack on internal servers and infrastructure across St. Paul, Minnesota on the weekend. The city was dark. Wait, is that racist? All right, so the city went dark. Tampon Timmy, Twinkle Toes Timmy, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, failed vice presidential candidate. Apparently, he's called up the National Guard. This hacker that broke in, he must be a bad mofo if they need the National Guard to go get him. Yeah, why do we need the National Guard called out? And I'm still wondering, where did the investigation go with Twinkle Toes Timmy putting out a hit, allegedly, on Amy Klobuchar, and the killer, the literal murdering assassin that killed two other political peoples, right? He tried killing four. I think he got two of them dead, right? He claimed that he was hired by Tampon Tim. Where's the investigation? Where's the arrest, the arraignment, the prosecution, the verdict, and the sentencing for that clown? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. The city went dark, says Uman. No, I think the whole country went dark. But like just about everywhere else on the planet, the Prepared Mind Network has operatives inside of Minnesota. And so we'll give you any inside scoop if it comes out. I think it's another distraction. I think it's another sham. I think it's another fucking joke on the people. Governments love to be inept. I mean, they have all the money they want. They spend all the money they want and then take it from you and me. They couldn't have better computer systems with better firewalls. Just like bank robberies and murders. I'm willing to bet the odds are it's an inside job. It's the best way to break in is to have someone tell you how to do it. Wouldn't be surprised, not in the least. I would not be surprised. How about you guys? You surprised by that news? Well, be careful about being surprised. I tell you. Ooh, man, let's do another quick one. Robin G, thank you for checking in. Says, I'm teed off that they keep calling it a brawl. She's referring to the Cincinnati beatdown by a bunch of thugs against a man and then a woman who tried stopping it. It was not a fight. It was an attack. It was more than an attack. It was a violent, vicious assault. And it was race-based. I still don't care for this hate crime shit. I don't care. But that's what the attack was. It was race-based. And even the idiotic councilwoman who applauded it, right? Yeah, she's a racist. Folks, we're going to have a hell of a time in this country taking it back from these racists and all of their critical race theory and communist adherence. I am happy to report that where I live, it is racially diverse, but I don't see racism, folks. I don't. You know, we got Mexicans and Central Americans, you got Caribbeans, you've got whites, blacks, very small number of Asians in Florida. Even though there is a giant Asian supermarket that I drove by the other day, and I saw it years ago as well. It actually has Asian writing on the front. It looks like a big giant freaking Safeway. It has Asian writing on the front, and it says in English, Oriental Market. I think someone forgot to tell the Oriental people that own the Oriental Market and sell Oriental food that Oriental doesn't mean Asian. In fact, it's a racial attack. Fucking people. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I'll be back tomorrow with you. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine means of self-defense.